Hi, Mr. Ford here, and today we're going to talk about how to read a bar graph. First, we're going to take a look at data sets and how you can read those. Next, we'll talk about the elements of a bar graph. And lastly, we'll talk about how you can use those elements to read and interpret the data of a bar graph. So let's get started with a data set. You're going to see data sets presented to you in all kinds of different ways. You might see them as a list, like with our sample D here, showing noodles, salad, sandwich, burger, mac and cheese, fruit salad, and other as our different data options. You may also see data presented in a Google Sheet or a spreadsheet. And it's going to look like this. Same information, meals eaten, it's going to give you a list of the meals, and the number of that particular meal eaten, and it gives you a list of the number. You're going to see data presented to you in all kinds of different charts like this. And so when we read these, we're looking at the title and then we're looking at the number associated with the title. So you can see that noodles was eaten 12 times, salad eaten 4 times, sandwiches 6, burgers 7, mac and cheese twice, fruit salad twice, and other meals 12 times. It's important to notice that while noodles and other meals both have the same number, noodles is one type of meal, and other, presumably, is any other combination of meals out there. And so while they look like the same number, we can interpret that noodles is actually the most common thing eaten here, because other is actually just a jumble of different types of meals that people were eating. And we can take the information we see here on this data set and we can find all kinds of other answers to questions we might have. We can figure out from looking at this that mac and cheese and fruit salad were the least common food eaten in this data set, that burgers was the second most common single type of meal in our data set. The difference between sandwiches and salad is 2. So 2 more people ate sandwiches, or 2 more meals were eaten with sandwiches than with salad, and so on. We can use data sets without graphing them to find answers to questions we have. Now, when you throw this together on a graph, it's going to look something like this. When you have a bar graph like this, it's going to have a number of key elements. The title at the top is going to tell you what the graph is actually showing you, what information it's showing you. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a title describing to you the information presented on the left side of the graph, in this case, the number of meals eaten. And on the bottom, or the horizontal title, is going to show you what information is being depicted. So in this case, the vertical side is showing us how many meals were eaten, and the horizontal side is showing us that this is describing different types of meals. The individual bars represent different data points. A data point is just a piece of information. So our first column shows us that noodles was eaten 12 times. Our second column shows that salad was eaten 4 times. If we skip ahead to our fourth column, burgers were eaten 7 times, and we can figure that out by looking and seeing that burgers is situated between the numbers 6 and 8. Split the difference between 6 and 8 and we get 7. So burgers were eaten 7 times. When you're reading through bar graphs, you can come up with information, with things that you can state or tell people that are true. In this case, the most common meal from this data set was noodles. It was eaten 12 times. And though other was also eaten 12 times, we've already talked about the fact that it's made up of a number of different meals and not the same meal. We can also look at this data set and find the least. So in this case, mac and cheese and fruit salad were eaten the least number of times, only 2 times each. We could find other information by saying that the difference between burgers and sandwiches was 1 meal. Burgers were eaten 7 times and sandwiches were only eaten 6 times. We could say that the second least number of meals eaten were salads at 4 times. There's all kinds of information we can take away from bar graphs. I'm Mr. Ford, and today we've taken a look at how to look at data points and interpret the information in data points, as well as how to read a bar graph, including the elements of a bar graph, and making statements based on the information we see from individual data points.